Hello everyone. This is Ali Azzuddin from 4th Generation for Education, and we started now the 3 afternoon session about our special day. Regarding assessment. The morning session, we had speakers from Dubai, from the UK, and now we are moving to India. And so we still have other countries. Stay tuned. Our attendees are joining from Lebanon, from Bangladesh, from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia, from Mauritius, and I'm sure that we have so many other countries. Feel free to introduce who you are in the chat and use the Q&A to send all your questions. I'm so excited to meet today and via the camera and on Zoom with Rez and with Asnaha. So they are in Bangladesh, and I had a chance to collaborate with Asnaha last year, again, during all this COVID situation. And now she's also my speaker. Rez, he was attending many of my workshop and the webinars, and he's also today speaking with Asnaha for effective online assessment. The numbers are increasing, and the people who are watching on Facebook, I just would like to tell them that I'm going to keep a track on your messages, and you can also comment and interact with us. So let's give it a start now that we have the people ready and active and engaged. And so I would like to ask from you to unmute yourself, Asnaha, and then let us know more about who you are, and then we will be listening to this. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ali, for inviting us over here and giving us this platform to collaborate and share our best practices. Yes, we have been binge watching your sessions for quite a long time. And yeah, my name is Asnaha Farheen. I'm currently sitting in Bangladesh, but I'm born in India. I've been working with IB PYP for past 12 years. Currently, I'm leading an international school, that is Abdul Molla International School, as head of primary and PYP coordinator. I'm also network chair of PYPC network of Bangladesh. As Ali just shared that last year we collaborated for one of the session, job-alike session. And I'm a writer by passion. Many of my articles got published on sharing the PYP blog and other national international platforms. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Riz.
Rezuan, unmute yourself.
Hello, hello everyone. I'm Rezuan Chowdhury here. I'm working as an IBPIP teacher at Abdul International School in Dhaka in Bangladesh, and Asnaha is our head of primary. And I'm working in education field from last 10 years. Recently, 2 of my international paper is published from US. The first one is impact of COVID on online teaching platform study on IB curriculum in Bangladesh. And second one is impact of e-learning in education sector, challenges and prospects of collaboration in remote learning. And my co-authors were Ms. Alida Salik and Janatul Ferdos. Recently, I also presented one of my paper in Malaysia, ensuring students' well-being in primary education, a case study of primary school in Bangladesh. My co-presenter was Ms. Alida Salik, and here is my email address. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. You're both welcome for this session, and I know you prepared for us some questions. So what are the questions for today that we are going to unpack?
So the guiding questions for today's session is, what do you wonder about today's topic? We'll start with a thought-provoking question, then we'll move ahead and we'll ask you a question that, are you an assessment-capable practitioner? Then we are also going to focus on how to use assessment for learning and as learning during online learning. What are the characteristics of effective summative assessment, and what is something interesting you learned today? Move on here. So let's start, let's begin. What do you wonder about today's topic? As you know, today's topic is effective online assessment. So we would like to know from you all, so use the chat box and let us know that what do you wonder about today's topic?
So in the chat box or on Facebook, For all the people who are watching us, what do you wonder about today's topic, effective online assessment? So we started getting these answers. Remember to put in that chat to everyone so we can all read your answers and not just only the host and panelist Farah. So Farah would like to know more about rubric, assessing our units, and how do we assess online. We are also looking for new ideas, so to check what are the new ideas, and let's see and wait also for our attendees what they would like to know or what are the questions that they have about the topic today, or maybe you need to let us know why you are attending this webinar. So I'm thinking that people are taking time to type. While they are typing, let me ask you, are you still teaching online or are you back to face-to-face, Asnaha?
We are back face-to-face. We started, physical school from September 12th, and it was a very long span of 18 months. So we did online learning for 18 months, and that was quite a long time.
Okay, good. So Tahani, hello Tahani. Tahani is watching on Facebook and she would like to see more about authentic assessment. And then, as I told you, like the chat now is on fire. So we have Mona. Mona is looking for online assessment in early years. Mona, we talked about this subject, so maybe you need to go back to our YouTube channel and to check the session. And then I'm checking another message from Dalia, and Dalia is looking at online assessment where there is no plagiarism, and so how we make sure that people are not just copying and pasting and then taking the answers from others. Reem, this webinar will be recorded, so you will have a chance to watch the webinar again and then to take notes and to take the main ideas from the session. Vani is checking how do we measure the online assessment and how do we make sure that we reach our goal. So these are some of the ideas from our attendees today. So we're ready to continue and to take them further in the presentation.
Change the slide, Rezuan, please. So this is something which we would like to convey, that this is the research of William, and he says that when well implemented, formative assessment can effectively double the speed of students' learning. And we are going to see the power of formative assessment during learning, during online learning. Please change the slide. As someone asked, what is accurate assessment or authentic assessment? So we need to know the important aspect of an online assessment or an offline assessment, and why are we assessing? What is the purpose of an assessment? Who will use the result? And how are we assessing? So as assessment is integral to teaching and learning, we need to know that what methods are we using? What are we assessing? What are we targeting for? Is it clear, good, explicit for students? Means whoever is using it, it should be explicit to them. How are we going to communicate the information? So this basically talks about the reporting phase of the assessment. So if we are answering all these questions while planning for assessment, so definitely we are planning for an accurate assessment. So who are the users? If students are the users, students are actively involved as an agentic learner to look into their shortcomings, look into their strength, and planning the next steps, then yes, we are planning for an accurate and effective assessment. And we need to make sure as educators that students understand target to what are we aiming towards. Students should have an explicit understanding of the criteria that we are using for the assessment, and students are also participating actively in the process. Change the slide. All right, what can assessment do? Assessment can give us a clear indication of what is to be learned next. As we are inquiry educators, our planning is very fluid in nature, right? So assessment, the day-to-day assessment, basically the formative assessment can tell us What is to be learned next? How is learning progressing? And what will be learned next? So as someone asked it, how effective are the assessment to measure? So I would say instead of measuring what assessment do, assessment actually enhances learning opportunities, help us to revise, reteach, all those things which are important and which makes the curriculum active and alive. So assessment does not only have a single role of measuring students' learning, rather it can also support student learning. Move on, Rezuan.
So I think Rezuan will be sharing the slide or not yet?
So can you?
No, you need to go back. Yeah.
Yes. So we are going to discuss about formative assessment. As I just said, that if used effectively, it can double the impact of students' learning. It can double the students' learning. So these are, broad classification of formative assessment as learning, where students are involved as self-assessors. Students are monitoring their own learning, asking questions, using plenty of strategies, and also deciding what they know and can do. So not only the knowledge part, but also skills are also the focus, and how to use assessment for new learning opportunities. Assessment for learning is basically something which we use as educator, and it is also referred as formative assessment. So we use it throughout the teaching and learning process to clarify students' learning and understanding. Move on. All right. So what is assessment for learning? If we broadly see it, as I said, it is very embedded and integral to teaching and learning process. But these are the three, major outcome or approaches that we look for when we assess students formatively. It deepen and personalize students' learning and help us in the development of knowledge and skills. It fosters ownership and agency over learning. We are talking about choices, voice, and ownership. So students own their learning when they are in the process of assessment for learning as self-assessor or peer assessor. Create more equitable classrooms, schools, and systems. So it helps us to give the right amount of support to the right candidate at the right point of time. Move on. All right, so here's a question for all those who are watching us. Are you an assessment capable practitioner? So tell us, where are you? Are you in the novice phase? You have just started. You think that you are not that assessment capable. You need to, move ahead and do something more to become assessment capable, or you have started but you still need someone to coach you, to support you. You are in apprentice phase, or you are a practitioner. You are doing it yourself, but you make little mistake here and there, or you are an expert. So where are you in this journey of assessment capability as a practitioner? Do let us know.
Good. Self-assessment, use 1 for novice, 2 for apprentice, 3 for practitioner, and 4 for expert. So in that chart, do a quick self-assessment about yourself and about how do you see yourself as a practitioner. And so let's see what are the answers that we are getting. And as you can see, we are getting different answers, and we are getting the 2, we're getting the 3. Let me see if we have some experts here. And again, more people are writing the 2. So I'm starting to get it. I still need someone to help me. I can see some number 3 on Facebook. Saida, she put number 3. So as you can see, it's a very heterogeneous group, and we are getting the different answers about the self-assessment. And then some people, they are guessing. So you can really say where you are. Don't be shy, even if you are a novice and maybe you are a brand new teacher and you started exploring the whole concept of assessment, you can let us know. Because once we build the trust with the student, and once there is a respect and a mutual respect, the student will be sharing their answers without fear, right, Asna?
Great. All right, so we are moving ahead. Thank you for answering. It was quite enriching to know where are you in your journey. All right, can we move ahead, Rezuan? Yeah. coming up. Next slide. All right, so what are some principles of good online assessment? Good, or you can say effective online assessment to be more precise. So we call it a formula of 7+4. It should do two things. It should empower students and it should engage them. So for example, students are actively engaged in identifying and formulating criteria. So they are co-constructor in the process of assessment. Facilitates opportunity of self-assessment and reflection. That is an important part of journey while you are in the learning process. Deliver feedback that helps students to self-correct. Do not deliver a feedback which is just excellent, very good, good. Deliver a feedback which is to the point, very precise. Provide opportunities for feedback and dialogue. So it should provide opportunities where students are seeing their peers as resources to learn along. Encourage positive motivational belief and self-esteem. It should not let them down. It should help them that they are in the learning pitch, but that's okay. They will move up in the ladder. It should provide opportunities to apply what is learned in a new task, more challenging one. It should yield information that teachers can use to help shape teaching. So it is also helpful for the teachers to reshape their teaching. Can we move on, Rezuan? How are they engaged? It should capture sufficient study time, efforts in and outside the class. Distribute students' effort evenly across topics in weeks. It should engage students in deep, not just shallow learning activities. So they are involved in a learning engagement. It communicates clear and high expectations to students. So these are some of the aspects of effective online assessment.
I like your formula. I like your formula 7+4. And then this morning we had very interesting session about feedback for the so the people who maybe missed the sessions are already on our YouTube channel, and this also webinar will be on YouTube. So what's next?
It was an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you. How to use assessment for learning and as learning, online assessments. Like when using both assessment for learning and assessment as learning, we need to follow 3 actions. Like first one is plan and share, second one is gather and give, and third one is develop and engage. So what plan and share says? Plan and share says plan assessment concurrently and integrate it seamlessly into instruction. And share and learning goals and success criteria should be shared with the students before conducting the assessment. So students can get the clear understanding what will be the goal and criteria for the learning. And gather and give says gather information about students learning before, during, and at the end of the instruction. So give and receive specific and timely descriptive feedback to the learners after the assessment. And develop and engage says how students to develop the skills to to assess themselves and also assess their friends. And engage students in individual goal setting. So they need to develop their goal and need to set their goal and need to be monitored and reflecting on learning. Assessment of learning, summative assessment. So aims to give teachers and students clear understanding into the students' summative assessment. So like summative assessment can be conducted at the end of the unit, and it also evaluates what students learn. It impasses the product of the students' learning. So some examples of summative assessment, like 1 to 3 actions. It says students can write a script and like for 10 to 15 minutes, and they can play drama or music or song on the concept. And it can be a podcast, like students can create 5 to 10 minutes podcast episode about the concept, core concept of the each unit. So it can be an online summative assessment, and there are a few more examples like infographic. So students can create a detailed infographic for a project or assignment so that they can demonstrate in an effective what they have learned throughout the unit. It can be virtual living museum. It can be free choice to give them feedback to explore or exhibit their learning. It can be digital comic book or animation.
All right. So, the one important lesson that we have learned during the online learning for past 18 months is that we need to use a balance of assessment for learning and assessment of learning. Right? Someone asked that how effective are they in that measuring part? So, is it more important to measure them or to support them to grow? So, say our students are like plants. So, what is important for a gardener to measure it or to support it to grow? So, like, this is very important that we are balancing the approaches of assessment for learning and assessment of learning. Can we move ahead, Rezuan? All right. So, what are the major differences if we want to understand why are we saying that it is important for us to balance assessment for learning of learning? So, what does assessment of learning do? It just checks the status. Where are we? Where have they reached? But assessment for learning is something which is improving student learning. Assessment of learning is being used for others, for other stakeholders, but assessment for learning is for the two major stakeholders, the students and the teachers. It focuses on the standards, basically the assessment of learning. Rather, assessment for learning focus on the learning targets. When does it take place? It takes place after learning, whereas assessment for learning is a part and parcel of teaching and learning process and it takes place during learning. So example are, internal or external accountability tests if you are not an inquiry-based school and more, assessment-oriented standardized testing. So it is internal, external assessments. Whereas the assessment for learning is like diagnostic assessment, ungraded, no stake assessment or low stake assessments, teacher observation, learning logs where the students are seeing learning as a process rather than seeing learning as a product. What is the teacher's role in assessment of learning is like administrator, classroom test, assigning grades. So like if we closely look at the role, it is the end of the game. Rather, if we are using assessment for learning, we're providing opportunities for ourselves to improve and also for learners to grow and improve and enhance their learning. So it changes standard into classroom targets and it gives opportunities for feedback, inform and involve students, right? So what is the student role in assessment of learning? Very passive role. They just need standard, score high or avoid failure. But in the assessment for learning, the role of a student is very active. They can still improve themselves. They know how to learn, right? So see target, use results to improve learning and set goals. So as you can clearly see, we try to differentiate both and which one is more powerful, you can decide for yourself. Yes, Rezuan, go ahead.
Thank you, Miss. So dear audience, here is one question for you. You can type it in the chat box. So what are the characteristics of effective summative assessment? So you can write your answer in the chat box.
I'm back to check the chat box and to check the Facebook messages. People are also interacting on Facebook. And this is our second question for interaction. What are the characteristics of effective summative assessments? So the first answer, it's based on the objectives. So they have clear objectives, measurable ones, so SMART objectives. This is one idea from Dalia. Thank you, Dalia, for sharing your ideas. And so we are waiting for other ideas. What are the characteristics of effective assessment? What would you like to tell us? Feel free to comment on Facebook or here on Zoom. And so again, you're thinking about your experience from the online learning and from the face-to-face learning if you are back to school. So what would you like to tell us about the effective and the characteristic of the assessment? So people are quiet this afternoon. Yes, so it's coming back. So you see, no, it seems no, they are not quiet. They are taking time to type long answers. So it's a student oriented. It has a choice. It aligns with the student interest. What I'm getting, it's authentic. It evaluates the skills, the concepts, and the knowledge. I'm getting also we start with the student and we communicate with the student. So I think these are some interesting ideas that I got from the chat, and then we can continue, Riz, with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. You don't fatten the pig by wagging it. It basically means by measuring students, we will not be able to make them smart or intelligent, right? So we need to prepare a summative assessment in an effective way that to move the, to make the learners more visible and to make them more better. Initial points to consider in creating some summative assessment. So like we need to begin with the what do you want to know? Is it accessible or not? Consider what the best way to surface this information. Then with the most effective use of both student and faculty time, you need to consider what is the most fair, objective, and efficient way to gain the information. And also you need to consider how will I use this information to enhance students' learning? Will this assessment benefit the students' learning or not? For self-assessment, the students need to be practiced. So what they have to do is once they are more confident in practicing, and by using different kind of strategies and tools, we have prepared 3 samples. So I'm going to show you those 3, and using their own work. So we need to start from the small, and then they need to apply the process in a particular criterion or a selection of work. They need to be observed, and they need to be circulated and give feedback and support when they're assessing themselves. So I'm going to show you one work. So
I'm sure everyone is waiting for all these examples now. So we start going in a concrete way. And I know that Riz and Asnaha prepared for you a lot of examples. So let's check what is this first one.
So this is a learner's checklist. So learners can write what they have done during this unit, and they can create by themselves that these are things I'm doing in this unit. So basically, this is a kind of a checklist. Like I don't use plastic. I love to plant trees. I use beans every day, and I can take care of our planet. So it's a kind of a checklist. I'm going to show you another one that students can assess themselves in a digital whiteboard. So it's a kind of a block bridge. So each of the concept, they can circle themselves where they are, their level. So you can understand what is the level of the students for this concept. There is another one, learner's profile. So it's very interesting. So for each unit, we have 3 to 4 learners profile, right? So students need to read these descriptions, and after reading this description, they need to remark them by coloring happy face and sad face. So even earlier teachers, they can apply in their classroom. I heard one teacher was asking that what can be the assessment tools and strategies for earlier. So if you're an earlier teacher, you can apply in your classroom. So students, guiding questions. So there are 3 guiding questions for self-assessment, like where am I going, where am I now, and how can I close the gap? So for each unit, the students can assess themselves by answering these 3 questions, and teachers can, then assess and also can understand this is the level of my child. Strategies for student self-assessment. So like learning journals or learning logs can also be used by students. For example, maintaining a record of the processes, reflect on the learning, record class and individual long-term and short-term goals. We are going to show you some goal setting task sheet so you can get some ideas, and plan steps to achieve the goals and monitor progress towards the goals. Here is one example, and I'm going to show you another example in your link that I had prepared one goal setting. So students can write this, they can read the questions and they can write it. Like first one is describe your goals. So they need to, set their goals. And then the second one is how you can track your progress. So they need to write down what is the best way to track their progress and who is going to help you to accomplish your goals. Maybe they will write my teacher and my parents or my siblings or something like that. And they need to list down the skills and resources you need in order to meet your goals. So maybe some flashcards, those things, maybe some puzzles, so they can write down the resources that they need to, achieve their goal. peer assessment. So peer assessment is very interesting. Like students assess their peer in how to improve their learning, therefore may find ways to improving their own learning, right? The process has either been taught as previously to the lesson or will need to be taught as a step-by-step process. So make sure the assessment should be a good quality, otherwise it should be proper guidance, otherwise it will going to ruin the relationship between the friends. And here we have created one sample. I think you can apply in your classroom. So yes, no things. I have got this idea from Mr. Ali. I attended one workshop and he has given some ideas like this way we can share, assess our friends. You can change the criteria, and based on the criteria, if it is a group presentation, so one group can give the remarks in each of the boxes, right? So like timing, creativity, project, presentation skills, all involved in planning, so they can write yes, no answers in each box. Some recommendations. So for peer assessment, so we need to train up the students proper way, so they can be, gradually they will be, expertise how to give a proper feedback on when they are doing the peer assessment. They need to be given time to discuss and reflect of the assessment, and we need to tell them, we need to guide them how to work in a collaborative way. For example, one group is presenting and a group should give the feedback in constructive manner, right? Here is two examples. The top of the example, earlier teachers can use it. They can write down the criteria in each box, and the students will write down yes, no. They can put tick over there, or they can remark. And bottom one, primary learners from grade 1 to grade 5, they can give their feedback, and they need to write the name, and they need to write down the peer assessor name as well. Yes,
I like all these concrete examples, Riz, so, and Asnaha. So what's next?
Thank you, Ali. So like here, I would like to give you a caveat that strategies are like spices. It doesn't mean that if we use more of it, it will give more flavor to the food. So use strategies very consciously and use strategy until it becomes a habit of the classroom. It should be a part of your learning environment. So this is a very common strategy. What we did not reinvented or invented new strategies. What we were using in the classroom, what they were familiar with, we just put it up on a Google, the sheet or a Google Doc or a Padlet. So this is a very common strategy that you can use in the classroom to know the temperature of your classroom. So green stands for all green, they know it all, and they're not stuck in their learning. Amber stands for they understand something, but yes, there is a room for improvement. They want more help and support. And red is like they seriously got stuck and they need more help. So this is a very common strategy that we have been using for a long time. So we use it using the Google Docs or a Padlet. So this became a part of our online learning. Just one change slide. All right, this one is for upper primary. We use it, the SWOT analysis. Students must be knowing their strengths and weaknesses. What are the opportunities that they are expecting, and what are the aspects that could, further develop them, and what are, the obstacle that they are facing, and who can help them, to come out of those hindrances. So we use this, we call it SWOT analysis. Again, we use it with normal Google Docs and sometimes Google Slides, and students is really well using these strategies. Move on to slide. Feedback burn. It is very user-friendly, kids-friendly language. So they use it like if they are sharing a self-assessment or a peer assessment, they can use, the top side of the burn is like sharing a positive aspect and a section that could improve, and then followed up by something which is a positive aspect. So feedback burn is again great. Warm gauge. So these are basically the strategies that is helping us to check for understanding. It is very important for us that we quite often check for understanding that how the learning is progressing. So like warm, which says, something, a positive feedback. Cold indicates an area of improvement and hints like what is something that is needed to meet the success criteria or to raise the temperature. These are some, very kids friendly, student friendly strategies. Move on, this one. This one is again stars and stairs, and this is again a strategy to check for understanding. So what do I do well, stars, and what do I need to help learning? Like stairs, how many stairs I need to move up to reach the learning goal or to meet the learning criteria. This one, change the slide. This one is simply, we did it on a Padlet and PMI chart. We are very familiar with it. So we use this also for assessment for learning. So plus is like meeting the criteria, minus is criteria is not evident and interesting, something to improve that. It was interesting, but we need to improve it. So we used a Padlet for it. Again, letter of feedback. In one of the morning session I was watching, and the presenter said that most of the feedback, we received from our peers, but most of the feedback is not correct. So as Rezuan said, we were trying to convey that peer feedback should be effectively used and they should know the steps. So this is one of the way to use the feedback. So letter of feedback, like what is involved, how to identify the strength, what are the areas of improvement, and students are either suggesting themselves or their peer to suggest ways to improve. So this is again one way for feedback. Thinking hats, De Bono's thinking hats we have been using extensively for so long. So again, we used it using either a Padlet or a Wakelet or, a Google slide or a Google Doc. So we can use all those strategies which we were using in the offline classroom in the online classroom. So there's nothing, which we have discovered. We have discovered actually that these are the strategies that we get used for them. So white is like looking for facts. If they are using, a research sort of thing, so they're looking for facts. They're looking for creative ideas. They're suggesting positives, or, red is for reactions. What reactions do they have? Blue is for, process behind the product. They are also looking into the process that is there. But if they are, analyzing a product, and black, they are discussing their concerns. So again, gaining the perspectives from a text. This can be used, and this works really well in upper primary classroom. Yes, Rezuan.
So feedback, like after the assessment, we need to give feedback to the learners, and it should be positive feedback. It should be constructive feedback with explanation of how to improve. So students should know this is the things, this is the area I have to improve myself. And there are some example of giving feedback. So what was doing well, what can be improved, and next step for improvement. So you can write this kind of remark for the students, and even upper primary students, like peer assessment time also, students can give feedback to their friends. Yes, miss.
If you're a PYP teacher, you know the pain of writing, bulky report cards, the heaviest report cards we have. But have we ever thought that what is the role of those report cards? Sometimes parents, they don't even read. So we just need to reflect that, okay, we can't change it. That is something which is parents required. But what are the few things that we can change? We can make our formative assessments more effective. And yeah, this is what we wanted to convey, that what we are doing, just reflect on the practices. Move on, this one. So this mic, yeah, all right. So some of the way where students are involved as an active participant in the learning is the portfolio. You can use a growth portfolio or a showcase portfolio or a process portfolio where students are collecting the evidences of their learning. So this acts as a very good tool for formatively assessing students. It has self-assessments, peer assessments, and also they're seeing learning as a process, that where they were, where they have reached, how have they been learning, all those things. Second thing that worked well for us during the online learning is student-led conference, where we can see student agency in its beautiful, form. When we involve students in student-led conference, they themselves are presenting the presentation, also presenting the portfolio, and these are the opportunities which can be used effectively for goal setting. And learning is all about setting achievable goals. So these are the two things that we have used extensively. We reduce the number of EPCs and we increase the number of student-led conference during the online learning.
So if you have any questions, dear attendees, you can write in the question box.
So I'm checking the Facebook messages. People are talking also about being explicit when we are using all these strategies and reflecting on these strategies. And as you said, the Asnaha student, they need really to use these strategies as a routine. So we explain them, we make sure that they got them, and then they are maybe ready to learn a new strategies. So if while we are waiting for any question now, I would like to share my screen. And so here I'm going to remind everyone that on our YouTube channel, they are going to find the recording of these workshops today, or these webinars today. We already have the 2 morning sessions. They are available. So if you missed them, you can have a look at the YouTube channel. If you didn't register for the upcoming 2 webinars, we still have 2 webinars. The first one or the following one after a few minutes, it will be what if we assessed our assessment? And this is a session with Fanny. Also, we will be live in an interactive session. And then we will be looking at unconventional assessment for an unconventional words. So these are the 2 webinars that we still have for today. If you are a French speaker, we have our French event also posted on the website. We have a special monthly meeting about the ATL in French. We published our new workshops in Arabic for all the Arabic speaker. And we also have an asynchronous workshop about feedback and how to give feedback. So all the details are on the website. Feel free to explore the website and to get all these kind of information. So before we wrap it up, I would like to check with Riz. So Riz, as a teacher, so what are these new things that you're taking back to the classroom once you are back now face to face? So you need to unmute yourself and let me know as a teacher, so it's your reflection time. So after these 18 months of teaching online, now you are back face to face. And so what are the things that you embedded in your classroom after the online teaching and learning?
Even now in our school, we have a blended teaching, right? Online and offline, right? So we are also, applying those strategies, online strategies in the classroom, right? We are giving them, we are assigning the project work in the Go Classroom, and they are more, they are more well known that what is happening, right? So if the students are even absent in online classes, they can see in the next day. Same it is if the students are not coming to school physically, they can see from the Go Classroom. And there are some strategies come up with this online platform. For example, virtual tour, those things we are also going to apply in the classroom, right? So gallery work, virtual gallery work. So if we have space problem, we can show it in the projector, right? So there are some things those are easy to apply in the classroom. Even though grade 1 learners, they have learned how to conduct the survey by making a questionnaire in Google Forms. So even we can start in the physical school, the students can do it because physically conducting survey is very tough, whether it is very easy to conducting survey through Google Form.
Thank you. Asnaha, my question for you as a principal or head of school. So, and after all this learning online and now you are in a blended model. So again, what are the things that you have learned and you feel now they are part of your daily life, even if we will go to a 100% face-to-face learning, maybe in the next couple of months. So what is staying with you?
One thing that we all have learned that our learning curve, went up, really up when it comes to technology. We understood like how to infuse technology, how to better leverage it to enhance the learning. So all those tools that we have used during the online learning, we will take them back. And apart from that, we saw a shift, students become more self-regulating, independent. So we really want them to give that feeling where they themselves are seeing as an active contributor in their learning journey. And you know, the ability to involve in lots of PDs and all those things, which has become a habit now. As I said, that we need to make it a habit. So we all have become better learners, and we understood that technology in the hands of good teacher is actually a fabulous tool. So this is we are going to take back.
So this will lead to the end of this session. I hope all our attendees got new ideas, or maybe they felt that they are on the safe side regarding what they are doing, and by highlighting and providing all these examples, I think you did a great job, beautiful job this afternoon. I invite you to attend the other session if you are free, and you would like to join Fanny and Sarah. I would like to thank everyone. I'm going to take a few minutes break and then see you for the upcoming webinar. If you are free, you are welcome also to join, to invite others. And then if you miss it, the webinar will be available on the YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ali. Thank you, Rezuan. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Miss.
Stay tuned. Next month, we will be talking about 21st century skills, or the ATL's approaches to learning. The program will be published very soon.